In this crash course video, we will be discussing the U.S. court system. In the U.S. court system, cases start in the following courts: the 94 U.S. courts in the United States Tax Court, the U.S. Court of International Trade, the U.S. Court of Federalism Claims, the U.S. Court of Veterans Appeals, and the U.S. Court of the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, and the Courts of Criminal Appeals. In the next tier, we have, this is where disputes can go to be appealed and decided by the following courts: the United States Court of Appeals. This has 12 regional circuits that also receive cases from a number of federal agencies. The next Court of Appeals is for the Federal Circuit. The Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit also receives cases from the International Trade Commission, the Merit Systems Protection Board, the Patent and Trademark Office, and the Board of Contract Appeals. In the third United States Court of Appeals for the mid-tier, this is for the armed forces, as I said below. The final and highest tier in the U.S. court system is the Supreme Court of the United States. The final appeal goes to this court. It is the last and highest authority.
Oh god, you should leave that in.
Welcome, class, to the United States Court and Judiciary Act. So, it is ordered in hierarchy. The state and federal courts are basically three-tiered. Trial courts are courts of original jurisdiction where cases begin. Appellate, not Apple 8, courts are courts that generally review only findings of law made by lower courts, such as trial courts. Before a court can hear a case, it must have jurisdiction, authority to hear and decide the issues in a particular case. There are two types of jurisdiction: original, where the court's authority to hear disputes as a trial court determine facts of a case in more than 90% of all cases, and a court of original jurisdiction. Second is a appellate court, where the court's ability to review or revise cases already decided by trial court, review legal procedures to make sure law was applied properly, generally done in panels of 3 judges. Federal district courts, courts of appeal in the Supreme Court, are called constitutional or Article III courts, which are federal courts specifically created for the U.S. Constitution or by Congress, pursuant of the authority in Article III. Judges who preside over these courts are nominated by the President with advice and consent of the Senate and serve for life. Legislative courts are courts established by Congress for specialized purposes, such as the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. Judges who preside over the federal courts are appointed by President with Senate confirmation, serve fixed terms. District courts were created by Congress when it enacted the Judiciary Act of 1789. The Judiciary Act of 1789 was a legislative act that established the basic 3-tiered structure of the federal court system. The bottom is the federal district courts. If the litigants are unhappy with the result, they would appeal the court to a circuit court, which would later become a court of appeals, and the third tier is the Supreme Court. With this act, Congress set the size of the Supreme Court at 6 members, Chief Justice, and 5 associates. And the members were reduced to 5, but it was later fixed to 9 in 18. Are you ready? Alright, so the U.S. Court of Appeals are the intermediate courts in the federal system. There are 11 numbered Court of Appeals, and the 12th is for D.C. The number of judges can vary from 6 to 30 in each Court of Appeals. Each court is supervised by a chief judge. In deciding cases, judges divide into 3 rotating judge panels. Rarely do all judges in a Court of Appeals choose to sit together. No original jurisdiction. You're an idiot. but have two types of no, leave it.
It wasn't
Appeal.
even on it.
Supreme Court review cases for the U.S. Court of Appeals and State Supreme Court acts as the final interpreter of the Constitution. So now for a real life example. Okay, so in a hypothetical situation, Tristan's the judge, and he can either be the Supreme Court judge, the appellate.
Oh,
Can you pause it, Esther?
You can't pause it.
just keep going. Hi, I'm the trial courts. I have 92 courts across the country, and all federal cases begin with me.
I'm the Court of Appeals. This is where all his cases go that they don't like the decisions for.
And I'm the Supreme Court man.
And I am the biggest court of them all. These report to me. That's it. We're out.